Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm with Ryan's RV in Everett, Washington, and today we're going to do a quick video walkthrough on our brand new 2019 Four Winds 24-foot with a full wall slide. The whole driver's wall slides out. I've got a ton of room on the inside, an island queen bed, a dinette. We'll show you all those features in a minute. In addition, for 2019, they've got this thing packed with options. We got all kind of features and options that we haven't had in the past. Pretty exciting, and this is an actual unit that we'll be renting. We'll have 4 of these in our fleet. So that being said, we're going to go on with the walkthrough here real quick. A couple of things I want to make note of before we get started. This is not designed to be your only RV education. This is just a short version of things that you should know, okay? We will give you a complete walkthrough when you come in, especially if you're a first timer or don't have a lot of RV experience. We want to spend some time with you in person to make sure that you understand how everything works. You need to remember your overhead clearance is 12 feet tall, so if it doesn't say it's 12 feet, or if you're in Canada 4 meters, don't go underneath it. And your overall width is over 10 feet. You cannot fit through a 10-foot gate without folding the mirrors in. So your mirrors stick out quite a ways. You have to keep that in mind if you're going through a construction zone. If they say road narrows, stay in the right lane. That right lane always has to be at least 10 feet wide, and just don't be alongside somebody in the next lane over that's a commercial vehicle, a bus, a truck, an RV, something as big as you are, so you both have enough room. Stay behind them, okay? Your weight in this vehicle is about 10,000 pounds, and that's just stuff that you kind of need to remember. This is a gasoline vehicle, not diesel. All of our Class C's, except for the Mercedes units, are gasoline. This one will be on a Ford V10. They drive beautifully, they're quiet, they got lots of power. Really shouldn't be anything else that you need that this one can't handle unless you're taking more than 5 people with you, okay? So we're gonna just pretend with me today that we're at a campsite. We're filming this one in a concrete parking lot. First thing we want to do when we get to our campsite is get the RV level. We need to get the RV level before we run the slides out and before we hook up our utilities and that kind of thing. So you can see this blue bag here. All of our RVs will have a blue bag in a storage compartment. We'll show you that on walkthrough. And they have 10 of these Lego style leveling blocks, okay? So they just stack up like Legos. Very easy to keep clean, lightweight, easy to store. Don't have to worry about getting them wet. Typically, you can see I've got taller in the back and shorter in the front, just to estimate the level that the level of the ground that we're on. And you can either pull forward or back up onto them, depending on whatever's easier. Typically, you're low in the front, you would pull onto them. I'm low in the back, so I'm going to back onto them. It's just a little easier that way. So I'll go ahead and back the motorhome onto those blocks, and then we'll get us hooked up. I've got my motorhome level. It's important that it's level for things to operate right inside. Somewhat level, not perfect. Don't bring a level from home. If it feels like it's level, it's close enough. Front to back is more important than side to side. If you're real off level from front to back, the refrigerator is going to have trouble getting cold. We're going to show you our utility hookups, and then we'll go inside. Okay, we're here at the back of the motorhome. Now, typically you're going to back into your campsite, and somewhere back here we've got our utility hookup. You've got water, just like a normal hose you'd have at home, faucet. You've got a 30 amp power cord, which we'll show you in a minute, in the motorhome rather, and then you've got an outlet here to plug that into. Sometimes you have sewer hookup. We're going to pretend that you do, and we're going to show you that hookup as well. So in the back of the motorhome here, I'm going to open my big compartment, and I'm going to take this out of the way for now. It's one of the sewer adapters. This is my power cord. It should just be plugged in here, or it'll be stored up in that hole. And 30 amp power cord. In the back of this compartment here on the back wall, we'll show you a picture here in just a second. There is a hatch that I can unscrew. Grab my power cord out to the ground. And that's just so I can leave my storage compartment locked and not worry about anything missing, going missing from inside my storage compartment. I'm going to bring this cord out over here where the power is going to be. That's what a 30 amp cord looks like. There'll be an adapter in any campground that says they have electricity for this 30 amp power supply, unless you book a site and one that specifically says they're 50 amp only. Now there's very few of those parks in the Northwest. There's more of them in Southern California and Arizona. If you book one of those sites, please tell us on walkthrough and we will give you an adapter that plugs into the 30 and will plug into your 50 and make everything just be fine. One in maybe 20 or 30 of our customers is actually going to use that, so we don't have them in the units. But if you ask, we'll supply one for free. Same thing goes with a cable adapter. The same park that's going to have that 50 amp only, they're going to have park cable or cable like Comcast TV cable. They're available for you. You will need the cable patch cord to go from the RV to their cable box. In the event you don't ask for one or forget, they're very inexpensive. You can buy them in any hardware store. Some of the campgrounds even have them there for you, but those are both things that we'll supply for free if you ask. Okay, so I'm going to plug my power cord in. Once that's plugged in there, I can come back over here. This is called an awning mat. We can roll this out along under the coach on the other side, and keeps things from tracking in. I'm going to use it to kneel on for a minute because the ground's wet. Close that for now. I'm done with that. Your sewer hose will be stored in the bumper. Now we're going to pull this guy out of here. And in the driver's door pocket, you will have rubber gloves. We supply rubber gloves free to use when handling the sewer hose or checking your generator oil. They're in all of the coaches. So once I've got this, come down here, this cap just twists off. When I take this cap off, my hand is up on top of the cap, not below the cap. In case there's any driblets in there wasn't this time. And then this hose will just twist lock right onto that adapter. Once that's on there securely, I'm going to come over to the business end of the hose. Now some campgrounds will have a hole with threads in it. They're going to want you to use this adapter that we supply with you. We supply you with the threaded connector. It's a universal threaded connector that will drop in. You just thread that in there a little ways and thread into the hole that'll meet their specifications. Once you've done that, you take the other end of the hose that's not hooked to the RV, and it twist locks on the same way you twist locked it on the RV. Just get it on there good and solid. Now if I'm in a park, this is what it's going to look like when I dump my tank. And I can actually see when the tank's done just by looking in the clear plastic. Okay. Now if you're in a place that doesn't have the threaded connector, you can just drop that same elbow in the hole. Make sure it's secure. So if you're at a rest area, usually there's a metal lid. If not, there's a rock, a block of wood. If there's nothing there, you may want to have somebody hold that in place with their foot. You don't want that walking out of the hole while you're dumping. Okay. So the last thing to do is water. We've included a fresh water hose. It will be in one of your compartments. We'll show you on walkthrough. And the fresh water hose connects right here to the one that says City Water Connection. Okay? That's where you want to put your fresh water. For water you're going to take with you, it fills on the other side. So we'll show that separately. Okay, now that we've shown you how to hook up the fresh water, we've hooked up the power, we've hooked up our sewer. And again, a lot of sites won't have sewer. Don't worry about it. You're just going to dump on your way out of the park. Once the hose is hooked up and secure, there are two valves. There's a valve here that's actually colored gray, and there's one back here that's colored black. The gray is your sink in your shower. The black is your waste from the toilet. So if you're hooked up in a park and you've got your sewer hose secured at both ends, you can leave your gray tank open, and in the park that will allow you to take as many showers as you want. You're getting fresh water sourced from the hose, and your waste water from the shower is just draining out and going into the ground in the park. It means you can take unlimited showers and not worry about how much water you're using, not worry about how much water is storing in the coach, because the tank's open. Okay. Now you will have to worry about how much propane you're using because your hot water heater's fired on propane, but should be sufficient for 3-4 people for up to a week without having to worry about your propane. You're going to leave your black tank closed while you're in the park because the tank on the motorhomes is quite flat and it's just gravity flow. So if your valve was left open all the time, liquids are going to tend to run off, solids are going to tend to build up, and you end up with a real sludgy problem in the bottom of your holding tank. We don't want you to have to deal with that. So you're going to leave your black tank closed until either it's at least a half a tank full or you're ready to leave the park. At that point, you would then pull the black tank valve and drain the sewage. So when I talk about pulling the valve, you just simply grasp the valve, pull it out in that direction. It's going to pull out about 2 inches and stop. Whatever's in the tank will run out. Okay? Typically, you're going to want to pull your black tank valve first and make sure you've got some water in the gray tank to flush that out. Okay? That'll help keep everything nice and clean and sanitary, and makes it more pleasant for the next person that has to pull the hose out, and it might be you. All right? So we try to do it that way. When you're done, you just simply close the valve. If you have any questions, we'll go through that again on walkthrough. We also have it written down in the instructions you get. It's really quite simple. You're welcome to wear rubber gloves. Shouldn't be messy. I can dump these 50 times and not miss a drop. Not a big deal. Okay, a couple more things that we need to cover on this side. One, your fuel is right at the back of the motorhome, unleaded fuel only, no less than 87 octane. If you're someplace with 85 octane, don't do it. Yes, it's a few cents cheaper, will likely cause engine damage. The fuel will be tested in the event of an engine issue. These engines never fail, so if it tests bad, that's going to be on you. Please don't do that. 87 octane minimum, and they really handle much better, especially doing mountain passes on 89. When you go in to get fuel, your appliances need to be off. So you need to make sure your hot water heater is turned off, you need to make sure your refrigerator is turned off, and you need to make sure your furnace is shut off. Okay? You can also accomplish those same three things by turning off the ignition, which you would do when you're fueling anyway, and turning off the battery disconnect switch, and we'll show you how to do that on the other side. That would ensure that your appliances are turned off. Of course, we're also assuming your generator isn't running. Your generator needs to be off while you're getting fuel. We'll cover that here in a minute. I mentioned park cable earlier. If you're in a real fancy park, and the park cable adapter is right here. This is an outside shower. This comes in real handy if you come back from the beach and you're covered in sand or muck or whatever it happens to be. I also will frequently do my dishes outside. If I can take a little portable table and keep the mess from being on the inside. You have hot and cold running water here. These come in real handy. When you're done, you just put it away. Make sure the valves are turned off, otherwise you'll lose your fresh water supply, of course. Propane. If you are on a longer trip and you need to have your propane filled, your propane fill is right here. Same thing. All your appliances have to be off. Ignition has to be off. Generator has to be off. You're going to pull in some places that can fill propane. Places that can do that. U-Haul, mini RV dealers, a lot of big gas stations with a propane thing out front. Big truck stops alongside the freeway will typically have propane. You can pull up next to the propane tank. They have to pump it for you. It's not that big of a deal. For most of my customers, you are not going to have to fill propane. We don't require you fill propane before you bring back. I don't even charge you for propane. So in most cases, especially in the summer, you're only going to use a quarter tank of propane, 3-4 gallons. Don't worry about it. It's on us. Okay? It's much easier for us to do that here. We do require you dump the waste tanks before you come back, or we'll have to charge you. And we do require you fill the engine fuel, or you will get charged for that. Propane, you don't worry about. All right. Hot water heater. There's nothing you can do here. Please always leave this door closed. If you come back without it, I have to have one ordered, painted and striped to match. It takes us a couple of weeks, and it's expensive to get the paint and stripes to match. Please just leave that door all alone. Underneath it here, we have the generator. This is where your generator is located, and we're going to show you the breaker on the generator and talk about that in this next segment. This is an Onan 4,000 watt generator. Now what I'm going to show you here is two things, actually three things. First, I'm going to show you how to take off the door. There's a latch here and a latch here. Pull that out, lift up, and the door will come away. Okay? If you are a customer that's going to be using the generator a lot, we ask that you check the generator oil a minimum of every 20 hours of use. You have an hour meter inside by the start switch. It's pretty easy to keep track of. If you're just going for a weekend or something, you won't have to worry about it. But if you're going to be gone for a while or you're using the generator a lot, we need you to check the generator oil. It's just like checking the generator in a lawnmower small engine. If you've ever done that before, simply just turn this yellow cap right here without the generator running. Now the generator has to be off, right? Otherwise you'll get a face full of hot oil. Bring that up. As long as it's on the stick, you're good to go. If it's not, you're going to add some generator oil, which we've supplied and we will show you on the walkthrough. It's typically in the driver's door pocket. And we've given you paper funnels with it and rubber gloves for doing this, as well as dumping your tanks. And you're going to add about 4 tablespoons of oil is all that it takes to put to make everything right again. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I want to show you is what happens when you overload the generator circuit. Okay, now the generator is here primarily to run the roof air conditioner. That's its job. The air conditioner takes about 80% of everything this generator can put out. So if while the air conditioner is on and you're running on generator power, somebody turns on the microwave, uses a hairdryer, a curling iron, or coffee pot, something else designed to create heat, it's going to pop the circuit on the generator. The generator will stay running. All of your lights inside will stay on because they're 12 volt. But your microwave lights will go off, your air conditioner will go off, and you won't have power at any of your outlets. If that happens, the reset breaker is right here at the end of my finger, kind of alongside between this yellow cap and the start button, and you want it to be pulled forward. Okay? Pull that forward, everything will have power again. Turn off the air conditioner, finish what you're doing with the microwave or convection oven, whatever you're doing, and then you can turn the air conditioner back on. Okay? Finally, when you go to put the door back on, I'm going to grab it up here by the grill. I lift it up, get it to sit on that lip to where they're firm, close it, and hit both latches. Now the door will stay closed. Okay? That's all there is to that. That being said, now our utilities are hooked up. We're level. I'm going to run the slide room out, and we'll leave the camera out here so you can see that the slide room is going to run out. Before I run the slide room out, I'm going to check a couple of things. One, I'm going to make sure that the engine is turned off. Okay? If my engine is running, the slide will not operate. I'm going to make sure that there is nothing in the way on the inside of the slide moving out, and that would be like the driver's seat needs to be not reclined all the way. It needs to be kicked forward a little bit. And there needs to be nothing in and around the slide room itself as it's sliding out. While it's sliding out, please not more than 50 pounds in the slide room itself. So if you have a young kid wants to ride in the slide and they're less than 50 pounds, sure, you're camping, have fun. Anybody bigger than that, please ask them to get up, switch to the other side. Okay, so we'll run the slide out now. Okay, we're on the passenger side of the RV now. We've got the utilities hooked up. We've got the slide out. We've got it level. One thing I didn't talk about real quick when we were doing the level, it's really important that the tire is squarely on that orange brick so that I don't have half the tire hanging off this side or the other side of that orange brick. And the reason for that is we don't want tread separation. It causes early tire failure. So if you've got it sitting off that yellow brick and it's hot out and you get on the freeway to go home, tire is probably going to come apart, and it doesn't really matter whose fault it is. It's just the fact that it comes apart is going to screw up your trip a little bit. So please have those square on the block. Couple things to note: this is the furnace. Gets very, very hot. On the other side, we had the hot water heater door I showed you. That gets very hot. It's important that you don't have a lawn chair or anything leaning up against them. You need to have a couple of feet between them and any kind of brush or something that could catch fire, okay? This is the refrigerator compartment. There's nothing that is user serviceable in here. Please leave it alone. Don't take this door off. Very hard to get matched and set back upright. We have a storage hatch here that's got a light in it and another storage hatch here. Just if you're going to take any firewood, that kind of thing, this is the right place to put that stuff. Tools, okay? Fresh water tank fill. So water that you want to have available to you while you're driving down the road. water that's going to go in the tank in the RV is filled right here. And the same water hose that we have for the other side, we'll show you that where it's stored on walkthrough. You can fill this tank if you would like. You can have us fill it during your walkthrough. We do that for no charge. We don't care if the water tank comes back full or empty. That's entirely up to you. You fill it here. If I turn this pepcock, it would drain the water out on the ground. Okay? However you bring that back is fine. The awning. I always use my awning when I'm camping, and these are so easy to use. I don't know why anybody wouldn't. There's a switch just inside the door that we'll show you a picture of here. And the awning's running out, so just by holding the button, I do have to hold the button. It's going to run out and give me shade and shelter on this side of the coach. Your picnic table is usually over here. Most of the time after I park the RV, I can move my picnic table under the awning. Which is really nice. I've got shade, and if I get a little shower like we frequently get here in Washington, keeps everything dry. This is a mat that I'm standing on is an awning mat. It's a rubber backed. It comes with the RV. We'll have one of those in all of our rentals for you. And that just makes it so you can take your shoes off outside under the awning and not track as much stuff in the side if you would like to do that. It's not a requirement, but I think you'll find that it enhances your camping experience. Two things about the awning we have to talk about real quick. The first one is please do not go off and leave the awning out. Not even if you think you're only going to be gone for an hour. This awning makes a great sail if the wind picks up. Sail like in a sailboat. A 15-mile-an-hour gust is about the most that they're designed to handle. Anything more than that, if the awning's not put away, you're very likely going to get some awning damage. Insurance does not cover awning damage at all. Zero zip nada. If the awning gets damaged for any reason, it is on you. We hate having those conversations, and the worst conversation that I like to have is when somebody calls me from their campsite and said, hey, we're trying to go, the awning won't roll up, the arm's bent, what do we do? Well, the reason the arm's bent is you left it out and it got windy. Okay, so you're welcome to use the awning. Put it away at night. Put it away if the wind kicks up. We don't want to get these arms bent, damage the fabric, or damage the motorhome. I can't help your bent awning arms over the phone. You're going to have to wait for road service, somebody to come out and take the awning off. In most cases, we end up replacing the entire awning when that happens. It can be a couple $1,000s. So, like I said, I always use my awning, but I always put my awning away when I'm not with the coach and I roll it up at night. It only takes 15 seconds in the push of a button, okay? Also right here we've got a step light that comes on. You can't see it because it's broad daylight right now, and I have a light strip that comes on underneath the awning that acts as my porch light. I also want to show you a thing that we only have on a few of our RVs. Some of the ones with big full wall slide outs like this motorhome, we have stabilizer jacks on the back of the motorhome. The stabilizer jacks are not intended to be leveling jacks. It is not going to level you from side to side or from front to back. What it will do is it'll take the bounce out of the motorhome. Okay, and what I mean by that, let's say we've got 4 people that are traveling in this motorhome. Okay, I've got 2 in the back and 2 in the front. I'm in the back trying to go to sleep. The people up front are still moving around, and I'm filling the motorhome. Kind of do this. These electric jacks that go down in the back are going to eliminate that for us. So you should be able to see that at the back of the motorhome now. There's 2 switches just inside the door that say left jack and right jack. I'm holding them down. So typically you're just going to hold the jacks down until they quit turning over very fast and they're on the ground. And that's it. And that should take the bounce out of the motorhome. Now in a case like this one where I've got the rear tire jacked up off the ground, I may need a block of wood or another orange brick to slide underneath that jack to give it a good surface, okay? But you run them down. If you use those, it is very important, of course, that you remember to bring them back up before you leave. I know that I'm going to get some customers coming back with bent jacks this year. You got to remember to do that. We're not going to be upset, but we are going to charge you, okay? So that's all for those. Let's go inside and show you some of the cool stuff on the inside of this motorhome. Come on in. Okay, so right here at the door we've got a switch that will turn our lights on and on inside the motorhome, so you don't have to come in the dark. We've got this switch here, which is going to be the awning light outside, a step light switch, the awning momentary switch for in and out. This is your battery disconnect switch. Right now it's on. Now it's off. When it's off, nothing is going to function in the RV, including your refrigerator, that kind of thing. You'd only do that while you're getting fuel or on a ferry. Turn that back on, and those are your jack switches. That's a heater duct. And then around here on the other side is your loaded fire extinguisher. All right. Well, welcome to your home on wheels for your vacation. We're inside the 24-foot. I can't believe this thing is only 24 feet long. Full wall slide slides out. Once that slides out, we flip this mattress over. I've got a real mattress. I've got a queen width bed. I can walk around both sides, so I don't have to crawl over somebody to get out. We've got a dinette there you saw that folds into a bed. Another big bunk up top. A lot of room in here for 5 people. We don't generally rent this for more than 5. 5's kind of the limit. It only has 4 seat belts. So as it is, there's already one person that isn't buckled in going down the road, which we're not really okay with, but that's how they build them. And you can see back here, there's just a ton of room. I've got a really nice size private bathroom here that's more than big enough for me. I'm a pretty wide guy. You feel a little bit like a linebacker. Got a big shower with a shower door that comes across, and spacious sink area. Now, sink is, and this one's a big single sink, so it's big enough you can wash your pots and pans in it. And then it's also got this flip-up counter extension right here, so I've got a little bit of room to set stuff. Making dinner, that kind of thing. If you're not using the stovetop, this is counter space. If you are using the stovetop, well, that one flips up the other way. You can see I have a 3-burner range there. And I don't have ovens in these, but we do have convection microwave ovens. If you're not familiar with how to use a convection microwave, I have somebody else show you on the internet. There's lots of videos about doing that. Those are really slick. Okay, so let's show you a few of the features in here. Oh, I almost forgot. This one has a huge 42-inch TV up front and a DVD player, so you can watch your DVDs or stream off of your iPad or laptop or whatever you want while you're going down the road and in your campsite. Okay, since we're right here anyway, real quick, I'm going to show you how to fold this into a bed. This is probably the most complicated thing to do on the inside, maybe in the whole motorhome, and it's still not that complicated. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these cushions out of the way. Just kind of set them up like that. This table has a lever underneath it right here somewhere. There it is. I flip this lever around and then drops right into place. I don't have one of those big pull tables that I've got to take off the floor and wrestle it around and try to get it down in. That's all there is to it. So once this is down, we just take these 2 cushions, bring them to center. And we have a very nice bed for one large adult or a couple of kids. So with these shoes on, I'm at least 5'10". You can see I've got plenty of room. If somebody's over 6 feet, they're going to be sleeping a little bit sideways, but they'll figure it out. Okay, so that's the dinette. So you've got a bed here, the bed there, and the queen size bed up top. All right, come on, we're going to show you a few more features. Let's talk about RV refrigerators real quick. So most all of RVs have the same refrigerator. It's a 2-door fridge. The top's the freezer. The bottom is the refrigerator. It's a whole lot more compact than what you have at home. Obviously, you're going camping. We strongly recommend that you take a cooler with you for beverages. In the summer, in the winter, it's not a big deal, but in the summer, it's really important that these doors stay closed as often as possible, and they only get opened when you've actually got to get meals, prepped at dinner time or lunchtime or what have you. The reason for that is these fridges work differently than your fridge at home. They work very hard to keep up in the summer. And if somebody's opening and closing this door a couple times an hour, and you open the door, you push there and then pull. If that door is getting opened a couple times an hour, the fridge is not going to keep up. It's not going to get cold, and you're going to have food spoilage. So please, we want to leave these doors closed as much as we can. To turn the fridge on, I simply push this button on the top and get the light that says auto to come on. That's how it will be when you pick it up. We will try very hard to already have the refrigerator cold for you. In season, we never turn them off. They just stay on all the time while they're here. So the fridge is already cold. And then as long as you can keep these doors closed as much as possible, you should be good for your trip. Okay. One little secret that I do a lot, provided that everything in the fridge is cold and my ice cream is still firm, at night you can take 3 or 4 bottles of water, put them in the freezer. By lunchtime the next day, you've got 4 giant ice cubes to use in your cooler to take with you when you're going out for the day. Okay. Let's cover the oven here real quick, not the oven, the range top. Excuse me. You have a 3-burner range top. It's the easiest thing in the world to use. You just simply turn this lever to light, turn the sparker to the right, and I've got flame. In the summer, if I have the air conditioner on and I try to light this, the air's blowing right here hard enough that I may have to put a pan over the burner to get it to light, but that's all there is to it. The range is the only part of the RV that is designed in such a way that it's going to leak propane into the interior of the motorhome if it's left on. Everything else will go outside. So you have to be very, very cautious of making sure that these are all off. If you have young toddlers with you that like to play with buttons and knobs, take the buttons off and put them in the drawer. Okay, that's propane's really scary. It's more expensive or more explosive than gasoline. We treat it with as much respect as we can. Since I'm on the subject, I'm going to go ahead and cover that really quick. There is a propane detector in the motorhome, kind of like a smoke alarm, okay, or a smoke detector. In this one, it's right back here under the bed. If you come in or you're in the motorhome and that thing starts going chirp, 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 it's just telling you your batteries are low. It's not an alarm. Don't panic. It's time to start your generator or get the coach plugged in for a couple hours and get some charge up in your batteries. If it is screaming at you like an air raid siren, kind of like a smoke detector going off, you have an emergency. Okay. The only thing you're going to check real quick is you're going to make sure these 3 knobs are set to off. In all likelihood, one of them isn't, and that's what's causing your problem. If that's the case, turn it to off, open a window and a door, let it air out. Not a big deal. Okay. Don't light a match right away, but let it air out. Not a big deal. If these are off and your propane detector is going off, you have an emergency. Treat it like the motorhome is on fire and it's about to explode. It probably is. Get out. Okay? If you feel that you can safely turn off the propane at the propane tank, which is on the outside of the motorhome, we showed you a picture of that. Great. Turn it off, but get away from the motorhome. Okay? It is an emergency. Treat that with respect. Since we started talking about safety stuff, there is a smoke detector right here over the step well going out. We know what that means. Okay, if that goes off, you have an emergency exit at the back of the motorhome if for some reason you couldn't get out the front due to an accident or what have you. This guy right here is a TV antenna. What I tell customers about an RV TV antenna is if you're set up inside or very close to a city, it might be worth messing with. If you're out camping anywhere that I would want to go camping, leave it alone. It really isn't going to do anything for you. If you think you're going to use the TV antenna, talk to us on walkthrough and we'll explain how that works. But it's not something that I'm going to cover in the video because 19 out of 20 of our clients won't successfully use it anyway. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the control panel for a minute. There's several things going on here that's kind of like the brain center of the motorhome. And we'll just start at the top and work our way over. This is the generator start. Okay, the generator that you have on board is an auxiliary power plant that is designed to supply 120 volt power or the same type of AC power that you would have at home if you live in the United States. If you're from Europe, it's not quite the same, but same idea. Okay, this guy runs off gasoline. It's outside. We showed you a picture of it earlier and how to check the oil and where the breaker was. Its gasoline comes from the engine's fuel tank, so it's plumbed into the engine's fuel tank. The engine fuel tank in this guy is 55 gallons, which is a lot of fuel. However, they've tapped that line in for the generator at about a quarter tank of fuel. So if you get where you're going and you're not sure you're going to hook up to power, you're thinking maybe you're dry camping or you're going to the gorge or you're going to some event where you can't plug in, put some fuel in the motorhome before you set up camp, because you're going to want to be able to use that generator. And if you don't have more than a quarter, third of a tank in the RV, the generator is not going to run. Okay, pretty simple. To start it, I just simply press and hold the start button. I'll hear it turn over. It'll turn over for usually 5 to 6 seconds and start. Okay, it's not real loud. It's louder right now because we're on blacktop and parked next to an RV, so the sound's bouncing right off of that RV. Once I've started that generator, within 15 seconds I'll hear a beep. The lights will come on the microwave. I know I have 120 volt AC power. If the lights on my microwave are not on, I don't have power. It's that simple. Okay, that's the easiest, most sure way to tell. If my generator is running and I'm running my air conditioner, keep in mind that the air conditioner on the roof takes about 80% of everything that generator can produce. What that means is, if I've got the air conditioner on and I try to use the microwave for a couple of minutes, we're going to pop the breaker on the generator like I showed you earlier. If somebody plugs in a hairdryer, a curling iron, a coffee pot, a waffle iron, anything that's designed to create a lot of heat, the same result. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. You're going to want to turn your air off while you're making coffee or waffles. All right, or doing your hair if you've got a curling iron or a flat iron, something like that. Okay, once the appliance has been unplugged that is using the extra power, we can turn the air back on, and we'll show you how to do that at the climate control here in just a minute. Next to the start switch is an hour meter. On your walkthrough, we're going to record how many hours are on the generator when you leave. We'll record how many are on it when you come back. 5 hours of generator use for every day that we've charged you is included in the rental. So most of our customers, that's 5 times what they're going to use. A lot of customers don't use it at all. If it's summer and it's hot and you're running the generator, yes, you can run it all the time. You're welcome to do that. But everything over 5 hours per day combined, you'll be charged. So 35 hours a week. We don't care how you break it up. Okay. The next button here, there's a series of little buttons right here that come across, and these are our tank gauges. The first one says LPG, that's liquid propane gas. That's the propane that's we're using for our heater right now, and it's showing a little over 2/3 full or 2/3 full. Very often, even when these tanks are full, they won't read all the way full because they've got a safety feature that allows for 20% of vapor on top of the propane. You actually burn the vapor, not the liquid. It's just kind of how it works. So if it says 2/3, you're pretty full. When it gets down to 1/3 or below 1/3, yeah, you don't have a whole lot of propane left. Next button is battery. It tells us what our battery levels. They're also showing 2/3. We're sitting here with not being plugged in, with all of the lights on and the furnace going, so we're doing pretty good. Fresh water is simply how much fresh water you have in the tank that's on board with you, that you take with you going down the road. It's currently empty. Black is showing 1/3, but I know it's empty. We'll have to see why that's reading 1/3. There's probably something hung up in there. And the gray tank reads empty. Okay. It is very common for especially your black tank, but sometimes your gray, to give you a false reading. So if you just pick up your coach and somebody flushes the toilet twice and you stop and it says that your tank's 2/3 full, that's probably not. The easiest way to tell is to look down the chute. Quite commonly, with the motorhome rocking from side to side, you'll get some paper or something that hangs up on one of the prongs that comes through the tank. That's how the tank tells whether or not it's full. If there's something stuck to the prong, it's going to give you a false reading. It's a very common RV issue. All RVs do it. Don't worry about it. When your tank's full, you'll be able to see that it's backing up into the toilet. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, let's come down here. This is our slide button for extend and retract. The engine has to be turned off. The parking brake needs to be set. The driver's seat needs to be forward a little bit so it's not going to interfere with the slide. There needs to be nothing on the floor, no debris. I can't bring the slide room in if I've got a bunch of pine needles and a bunch of crap over the floor. You got to sweep it up first. Things like kids' toys, pencils, lipstick, that kind of thing that get stuck underneath the slide can create a problem. Please try not to have that be an issue. The slide's still going to come in, but it will probably damage the floor. And this area back here, I need to make sure that this area is completely clear. There can't be anything stored here. And the last thing I'm going to do before I bring the slide in is just flip that mattress back up, because what's going to happen is this piece here slides out across the top of this frame and comes all the way over to here. Okay, there can't be anything in here at all. Okay, we've got good storage over the bed. We've got a huge closet right here. There's a waste basket in there. There's room for hanging. It goes way back in. This is really big. We'll take a shot of this here in a second. And I didn't realize that one was that big. That's one of the biggest ones we have. I really like this model. They have made wonderful use of space. We have a drawer that comes out for storage underneath the front dinette. We have a pantry area here with a couple of slide-out drawers. Things like jars and bottled spaghetti sauce. This is the right place for those because they can't go anywhere. And back here we have the bathroom facilities. A couple of things in here. First, everybody goes, can I fit in the shower? All right, well, I'm built like a linebacker. With my shoes on, I'm 5'10", and there's another almost foot above my head for me to stick my head into the skylight. So yes, you'll fit. Okay. We have shower head. On the shower head, we have a little button. Okay. That button is a water shutoff. And what we use that water shutoff for is when we aren't on a full hookup site, we're really concerned about how much shower water can go in our tank. Okay. The tank is going to be good for about 5-6 minute showers. So about half an hour of water runtime is all you're going to get before that tank is full and your freshwater tank is empty. So we want to conserve water, and typically we would do that by getting in the shower, getting wet, turning off the water supply without having to readjust the knobs because that wastes water. Soap up, shampoo, whatever you're going to do, turn it back on, rinse off, turn it off again. If you're going to shave or you've got another shower routine, fine, do that and rinse one final time. You should find that most people can do everything they need to do in less than 5 minutes of water. If you can't, well, okay, it's your water, use it any way you want, but just be aware that you get half an hour runtime and you're going to be out of fresh water, and your gray tank will be full. This water heater is only going to give you about 7 minutes of hot water anyway. So if you run past 7 minutes of hot water, it's going to get cold. All right, use it however you want. Let's talk about the toilet with me being behind the toilet. It's probably easier that way. When you lift the bowl, and you'll see pink stuff in here, that's antifreeze because this unit's winterized, it's still freezing here. When you lift the toilet in an RV, there won't be any water in the bowl. And that's to eliminate splash going down the road and conserve water in the toilet. Most people will try to use the toilet just for number one. If that's all you're doing, it's real simple. Use as little toilet paper as you can. We supply the toilet paper for you. There'll be 6 rolls under the sink, more if you're going for a longer trip and or request it. We want you to use the toilet paper we give you. It's RV toilet paper, and it's not going to screw up the system as bad as anything you might bring from home. Something like Charmin will absolutely result in a clogged system. Please don't bring that. Nothing goes down the chute except human waste and toilet paper. If you are going to do more than go number one on the toilet, you need to add some water, and that's really important. I can't express that enough. It's not even so much for the RV as for the comfort of you and the people that are traveling with you. The reason that our toilets have water in them at home is to eliminate odors. Okay, that's why your bathroom normally is not really unpleasant when it's used for that at home. So to accommodate that, this is a foot flush lever. I'm going to push this lever down just about an inch. There's going to be water running into the toilet that's going to build up in the toilet, and the water level will raise. I need to raise the water level in the toilet high enough to cover up any deposit that I might leave. When I am done and I push it all the way down, it will flush and it drops all the way down into the tank underneath us. Okay, and that's what it's supposed to do. The more water and the less paper that goes down the chute, the happier we are. And if you forget to add water to the toilet and you make a deposit, you're probably going to get voted off your own RV island really quick. Everybody in the RV is going to hate you because you've just made the whole RV smell like an outhouse. Okay, that'll cover the toilet. Also under the sink, when you pick it up, there will be a foil package. At least that's what we're using now. There'll be some kind of a package that has drop-ins, and they look like drop-ins for your dishwasher or your washing machine, kind of like a Tide Pod. You drop one of those down the chute. That will keep things from getting as stinky. Okay, it kind of helps control the odor. All right. One more thing in here that we want to show you real quick. This outlet right here is a GFCI outlet, and most of you will have those at home in your bathrooms. The difference with this one is all of the other outlets in the motorhome are wired through here. So if everything works in your motorhome, your microwave lights are on, your air conditioner comes on, everything else works, but your outlets are dead, you just need to hit the reset button that's right here. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the front bunk area for a minute. This area, as you can see, is quite large. This piece can come out and drop into place like that. Then I can take the ladder. The ladder comes onto here. We do ask that whoever's going up top, please don't take your shoes with you. This area is very hard to clean. We ask that you don't have food or beverages up top, again, because it's really hard to clean. If when you come back something's been spilled up here, there's Cheetos that's ground into the fabric, there will be an extra cleaning charge for that. So please do your best to keep this area clean. Additionally, this is where the big TV is. So once we're set up camping, if I want to watch TV, I can swing this out, and we've got a remote, and we've got a DVD player right here. And off the back of the DVD player is an HDMI cord, and there's a USB inlet right here, so you've got lots of options to feed the TV with your data any way that you want to. If you've got a laptop or an iPad and you want to stream video, obviously you can do it from right here. Very simple, very easy to get at. So when you're done, you want to put the TV away, slide it gently back to the wall, and then there's a little dial right here on top. I'm going to tighten that down, and that way the TV's not flopping around while we're driving. While we're driving, if I have things stored up here, I want to leave this piece in place. So the reason for that, quite simply, is if it's out of the way, it's quite possible for things to come down and hit the driver or passenger in the head while you're going down the road. And having been driving a mountain pass with sleeping bags bouncing off my skull, I can tell you it's quite distracting. So we recommend that you leave this in here, okay? If you have a person who really wants to take a nap while they're going down the road, legally you can do that. This is the safest area to do that in. Ask them to sleep as far forward as you can. So if you hit the brakes, they're not going very far. They're not going to get hurt. Okay? If they're clear out here and you hit the brakes, it's going to hurt, but it's not near as bad as somebody coming off the back bed or the dinette and hitting the dash, right? Same thing goes for if you've got someone up walking around while you're driving. The law requires that everybody behind me down in these two seats be buckled in, but everything back here is like limousine rules. So seat belts are not a legal requirement. They're still recommended. If somebody's up walking around and I'm coming back here to get a soda or use the bathroom and you hit the brakes, I'm going to hit the dash really hard and really fast and probably hurt myself in the process. So the driver needs to be very aware and need to have some open communication going on. I make my travelers ask if it's okay. If the road's not wide open and I think there's any chance I'm going to have to hit the brakes, I tell them they need to wait. Okay? That's on you. Just be safe. Okay, let's put this dinette back up and we'll talk about seat belts here really quick. So we will rent this motorhome typically for up to 5 people. You only have 4 seat belts from the factory. That's how they're built. There are reasons for their being built that way that I'm not going to go into. I will tell you that if you aren't buckled in, the only other place to really sit is here. You want to sit to where there's something behind your head and your head can't come all the way back. So we recommend that you sit over on that side. So to put the table back up, we get the cushions out of the way again. And I just gently lift the table up till it stops. And then I reach underneath and there's that lever I flip back over the other way. Get the little cushion out of the way. Big cushion drops into place. Same thing on this side, but I got to pull the seat belts up. Pretty easy except for the seat belts. You got to wrestle them a little bit, but there you go. Now it's a table again. Okay, I'm in the driver's compartment of a motorhome. For any of our Four Winds, this is the dash for everything except the Mercedes versions. They're all Fords. The Ford ignition key is a long skinny key that looks like this. I can start it up. This stereo pairs to your Bluetooth phone really easy. Once the engine's running, if you have the Bluetooth turned on your phone, you should be able to push this button and then go to your phone under Bluetooth. It's going to give you a stereo you've never heard before, letters and numbers, something you've never seen of. Under available, click that, it will pair. Once it pairs, you can play whatever music you have on your phone. You can play Pandora. If you're using your phone for navigation, it's nice to be able to hear the navigation voice over the speakers. And that's coming off my phone right now, real easy. Alright, so if you have a phone holder or something you want to take that will fasten onto the RV without leaving a mark, you're welcome to. The ones that attach up here are probably my favorite, so you've got nav right there and you're hearing it through the sound system as recommended. You've got two charging ports right here for 12 volt charging ports, so you can charge your phone, your iPad, whatever it is that you want to take with you. You also have a USB charging port right there, and you have an HDMI port here that will play to the stereo. However, it won't play audio, it won't play video to the stereo while you're in motion. Okay. Additionally, right here I can pull this open. I've got a USB charge cord adapter slot, so if I want to hook a device up without Bluetooth, not have any radio interference, I can use a USB charger cord there, and just a standard auxiliary speaker cord here will come in. This is not a navigation unit. You're going to have to use navigation from your phone, but you can pair it and hear the sound through that. Okay. Your generator, we talked about earlier. We didn't talk about how it is fueled. It is fueled off the primary fuel tank. Right now I'm below a quarter tank of fuel. My generator won't run, or at least it won't run very long, because the generator is tapped in at a quarter tank to make sure that it doesn't run you out of fuel if you've gone off and left the generator running. On a hot day, if you don't want to cook your passengers, you're going to want to keep more than a quarter tank of fuel in the motorhome at all the time. It's a 55-gallon tank. I want to stop more often than that anyway. I mean, to use 40 gallons of fuel is a lot of fuel. It's a lot of driving. Even in this one, that's a lot of driving. So when you get down, around a third of a tank, be looking for the next gas station. Cruise control is on the dash. Wiper and high beam is right here. There's wiper. To windshield washers, I push it in like that. Over here by my right knee is a switch that says emergency start. If I go to start the motorhome and the batteries have gotten low for some reason, I've been using the stereo, I've left the parking lights on, something, I can press and hold this button in. It's a momentary switch, meaning I have to hold it while I start the coach. The engine battery will jump off of the house batteries, two separate systems, and start the motorhome for me. So essentially you can jump the RV without getting out of the driver's seat. That's really nice. We do have a map light here. Headlights are just 3-position switch: off, parking, headlights are on. All right here on this side of the dash. Let's talk about this tow haul button here, especially on my bigger ones. So my 28s and my 31s, if you're doing a steep grade like a mountain pass, when you feel the motor starting to shift down and work harder to pull you up over the mountain pass, press this button. I'll get a yellow light that comes on the dash under the tachometer that says tow haul. That's telling me that it has eliminated overdrive almost entirely, and has put the transmission in more of a work mode so that it's not always trying to shift between gears. It's better fuel economy that way. It's easier for the coach. More importantly, as I come down the other side in tow haul mode, the transmission will hold its gear and not make you want to ride the brake as much. Okay, we're in a motorhome that weighs somewhere between 11 and 12,000 pounds. Plus all of the stuff you put in it. Going down a steep mountain pass, when I'm on the brakes all the time, in the summer when it's 100 degrees, guess what? Your brakes are going to get hot, and that can cause a problem. Since we're talking about that real quick, and primarily only in my bigger ones, double especially if you're really loaded up, or maybe you've paid extra for a towing allowance if we let you tow something. We do that for things that are lighter. Ask us if it's a concern. Don't show up just expecting to be able to tow. It does not work like that. It's got to be approved in advance.
If I go to start the motorhome,
but going down the hill, I want to have my tow haul mode on so that my transmission is doing part of the work and I'm not cooking my brakes. If I'm going down the hill and I feel the steering wheel start doing this, or I have to push harder on the brake than I did a minute ago, those are signs of brake fade. If I hit the brakes and it's pulling to the right, that's a real big sign of brake fade. You don't have much brakes left. Your brakes have gotten too hot, they're not going to work correctly. Find a safe place with a lot of long runway off the side and get off the road. Stop, let your brakes cool for 15 minutes. Very unlikely for it to happen unless you're doing something very steep, you're fully loaded and it's very hot. But I want to cover that with you, so if you start getting any of those symptoms, assume you're about to have a bigger problem. Okay? Questions, any of that, please see us in person. Emergency brake is the old style, foot operated down here under the dash by my left knee, and the release is up underneath the dash by my left knee. Okay? This panel right here is your 110 breakers. It's also the battery charger that charges your batteries when you're plugged in. It will have a fan that comes on and off. And it will create a little bit of heat. So if you notice that's humming, or you hear a fan, or you feel a little bit of heat, don't worry about it, that's normal. It shouldn't feel hot enough that it could be a fire hazard. I don't remember the last time we had one that was, but that's totally normal. Inside there are 12-volt fuses and breakers for the house. Unlikely you'll need to get in there. Really the only two things that we get with any regularity at all is the GFCI in the bathroom and the breaker on the generator. Okay, I think that's about it. I hope you can see why we're excited about this floor plan. It's one of my favorites. It's got the most room with the least amount of length. It's got a lot of features packed in here. This is a really nice motorhome. Hope you guys enjoy your trip. Bye for now.